So Joe Rogan's shine is finally starting to dim because of his outrageous takes regarding recent fights in the UFC. A lot of big MMA content creators and ex-fighters are coming out saying, Joe, what are you talking about? Is this the end for Joe Rogan? Is this the beginning of the end for Joe Rogan? We're going to get into that. Before we do, if you could do me a favor and hit subscribe. I haven't been asking people to subscribe for the last couple of videos, so if you could do me that favor, subscribe, share, like, the whole lot, I'd really appreciate it. Brendan Schaub reacts to Joe Rogan accusing Alex Pereira of cheating. Now this is where it kind of sparked off in the last few days. We've had heavy hitters like Schaub, MMA guru, who I absolutely love watching. His takes are absolutely brilliant. Conor McGregor has popped off on Joe Rogan this week. I can understand why. There does seem to be a lot of shillery going on with Joe. I've absolutely loved Joe's takes, probably 70% of the time. And of course, in the current world, you either agree with someone 100% or you hate them. There's no discourse to be had in the middle. I think in terms of sociological and personal relationships with people, you have to disagree here and there. With that being said, let's see what Conor had to say when Joe Rogan kind of weighed in on the fact that there was an illegal knee to the head by Conor against Khabib in one of his earlier fights.
What are you talking about? Smash this and smash that. What was smashed? My knee into his fucking eye socket, yeah? Shake. That's a knee to a grounded opponent. Call the cops. Fucking ticket.
I mean, the funniest part about that whole video was Conor's attempt at an American accent, and I noticed that he did it in the Michael Bisping one as well, and I found it quite hilarious. I get exactly where he's coming from, and I know what people say. They say that he's a has-been and he's living in the past and everything like that, but it is quite funny that Conor reacted in this way, listening to Joe's take on the illegal knee. And this is in the aftermath of Joe Rogan coming out, pretty much not even giving any credit to Alex Pereira and talking about how Israel Adesanya is the best loser he's ever seen. Adesanya is quite pathetic, to be honest with you, the way he's just making excuses after excuses. And I did watch his reaction video to the Alex Pereira fight, and that was kind of embarrassing as well. Listening to Joe shill for him when he was talking to Steve-O on the podcast. And there is an obvious trend happening with the guests who come on to Joe's show, and there's plenty of videos out there if you actually go and look for them. They're kind of hard to find on Google because they talk about certain things that you're not allowed to talk about on YouTube. But it's interesting, and there's an interesting breakdown of demographics and an interesting breakdown of percentages in terms of who comes on the show and who doesn't. And I do think it's interesting that we don't see the likes of Conor McGregor, Colby Covington, all these type of people come on the show, and there seems to be a reoccurring trend. And he talks about Alex Pereira being this sort of a cheater, a weight bully, but we never heard about it before. We never heard about it with like Islam Makhachev, with Khabib. We've never heard about it with Kamaru Usman. It's never heard of it. All of a sudden now, I don't know whether it's on purpose. I hope that it isn't from Joe. Normally I go all in and I'm 100% assured that the MMA media shills are 100% premeditatively attacking people and gaslighting people and pushing the propaganda in certain directions. With Joe, because I've liked his content so much over the years, I think he's a brilliant voice for people, especially in the last 2 years. And before I wade too deeply into these recent outrageous opinions that he's been having, you know, I'd like to give him a little bit more breathing space and see, does it even itself out? Because again, as I said, Joe's awesome at what he does. To see a lot of these content creators coming out and calling him out has been interesting this week. This is from the Guru video.
Those calf kicks have changed the fucking game.
Okay, we're gonna move on for the next however many seconds, because Joe Rogan goes on this massive long talk about calf kicks and stuff like that he likes to do so much. So we're just gonna skip past this because this is Joe Rogan's only take on MMA pretty much.
And again, Joe Rogan talks ad nauseum about calf kicks, and he does the exact same about certain fighters that he deems to be the best in the game, and they usually consist of the likes of Aljamain, Israel Adesanya, Kamaru Usman, these type of guys. There's a pattern to be found there if you go look for it. And with all these components tied together, and the fact that he doesn't do commentary as much as he used to, and when he does, he's getting called out on his specific opinions, and then in the aftermath of that, we see him getting called out on what he's saying on his podcast. If Joe doesn't hit the headlines talking about calf kicks, he's hitting the headlines with outrageous takes like Alex Pereira is cheating, Conor McGregor's definitely on steroids, Colby Covington's an asshole, Adesanya's the best in the game and he's got Pereira's number and he's going to get him in the rematch and he's such a badass because he wore a fur jacket. It is what it is. Is this the end of Joe Rogan? Are we actually witnessing the demise of the great UFC MMA podcaster? Is this the beginning of the end? Let me know your thoughts down below. Drop a comment and make sure you subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Cheers.